Let me share something with you from Power versus Force. Pain exists to promote evolution. Its cumulative effect finally forces us in a new direction. Though the mechanism may be very, very slow, how many times is it necessary, he asks, to hit bottom before a lesson is learned? Perhaps thousands, which may account for the sheer quantity of human suffering so vast as to be incomprehensible. But slowly, ever so slowly, by inches, does civilization advance. By inches. And as many times as I was interviewed on TV after the events of the 11th of September 2001, when people ask me about my view of humanity and do these kinds of things suggest that we are moving backward or forward, my suggestion is always that we are moving forward, and that these kinds of events bring out in us the very best that humanity has to offer, as difficult as it is for us to see in the moments. And I think back to not too long ago, in 1958, I was in the United States Navy. I was in a radio school there in a place called Havre de Grace, Maryland, Bainbridge, Maryland. And my best friend in life at that time, who was in the boot camp with me, was named Rayford Secundus Dudley. And he was a black young man from Chicago. And it was 1958. And we walked into a diner in Havre de Grace, Maryland at 1 o'clock in the morning. And we were both in the uniform of the United States Navy. And they wouldn't serve us because he was black. In 1958. And I walked out of there in shock that a man who was serving his country and in the service could be denied to have an omelet with me. And we both, of course, walked out. And I think back to 1958, and now it's 40 or so, 45, hard to imagine, years have passed. And that kind of thing is impossible in this country today. It just doesn't happen. Inch by inch, slowly. And there are many, many more examples. One of my favorite is getting on an airplane out in Wyoming, and a woman's voice came over the PA and announced that she was the pilot and that she was flying us to our destination. And a man was walking through the aisles asking if we wanted coffee, tea, or milk. And I thought, now there's an example of transformation. And when I graduated from high school, the number of women that were admitted to law school and medical school was somewhere around 1 or 2%. And now it's somewhere around 50%. Slowly, inch by inch. And when those planes flew into the World Trade Center, it brought out the very best in millions of us, not only in America, but around the world. And I believe what Hawkins is speaking about, that we have to treasure our divinity by remembering that our basic inherent goodness is what is in there. He says, that which is injurious loses its capacity to harm when it is brought into the light. And now nothing need remain hidden. Every thought, every action, every decision or feeling creates an eddy in the interlocking, interbalancing, ever-moving energy fields of life, leaving a permanent record for all of mankind and all time. And he says this even further, in this interconnected universe, now we're talking about the highest level of unity consciousness, God consciousness, divinity consciousness. In this interconnected universe, every improvement we make in our private world improves the world at large for everyone else. We all float on the collective level of consciousness of mankind so that any increment we add comes back to us. and simple kindness to oneself and all that lives is the most powerful, transformational force of all. It produces no backlash, has no downside, and never leads to loss or despair. Every thought is in a permanent record of all of mankind, and ever so slowly we move.